Greetings and welcome to another episode of the Perfect Balance Chart Class. The Perfect Balance Chart Class is a place where conscious-minded individuals are guided towards the full development of their potential through collective reasoning. I am Rasdada, and with us we have Okavongo, the Rebel Guru, Yaga, aka Teacher Ma'at, and Bingi. We're also joined by a very, very, very special guest, Ogun Rassan.
Eli.
Give thanks.
Give thanks, man. Give thanks.
For all our viewers, do remember to subscribe, like, and share. Click on the notification bell so that you're kept updated whenever we upload a video of the Perfect Balance Trad Class. Our guest today is Ogun Rassan. He is a very iconic member of the Rastafari community. He is an artisan. He is a farmer. He is a fashion icon. He is a builder. He is a multifaceted individual with a very vast awareness of cultural, historical, and indigenous ideas. How are we doing today, Ogun?
Wonderful. Give thanks for the presence this morning. Give thanks for the podcast and give thanks for every individual who came forward this morning. Everyone who's tuning in just as well.
At the third class, where finalists discuss current affairs. So let me get right into it. I begin from Kenya. Hundreds of Kenyan police officers depart for Haiti on Monday to lead a multinational force aimed at combating powerful gangs responsible for a surge in deadly violence this year. The development, which marks Kenya's significant contribution to global peace and security, has not been without controversy. So this is a two-part question, because on the other hand, while the Kenyan police are in Haiti, what's going on in Kenya? Kenya returned to the streets of Nairobi on Thursday night, tearing down CCTV cameras, setting fire to tires, and blocking roads to protest against proposed hiked taxes in a financial bill that is being tabled in Parliament. So in the last I heard, over 23 people has died, and over 100 been arrested, and over 100 been injured, and over 200 been arrested. So I just want to hear you the item view on that.
We'll say because of the gangsters in Haiti are on the streets, because I heard some history about recently that the government in Haiti don't really have much control over the streets. It's like the rebel gangs kind of took over the whole country and just run everything in Haiti right now. So from what I'm understanding now, Kenya is sending police officers to combat the rebel gangs, I guess. But when the police officers came over to Haiti, the people in Kenya started to rebel and started to riot. That's go on?
Yeah. So that's basically what's going on. But for something different, it's for a tax hike that happened in Kenya.
But it's coming like the tax money, the tax money and send the police officers over to Haiti. And that's why they have to hike taxes on the local residents.
What happened on is this, right? The UN has this thing that they're talking about, international security or safety section that they're dealing with. So all the member states are a part of that.
Right.
So with what's going on in Haiti, Kenya being a part of it, they've said, okay, under this thing, we're going to send police officers to support the Haitian government, the Haitian ruling authorities, right?
Right.
And they send, I believe, something like over 200 police officers
from
Kenya to Haiti. So the Haitian people are upset about it. Kenyan people are upset about it. And people within the diaspora are upset about it because they're saying, you know, they don't fully agree with that. So this is where we're at now. But while that's happening, separate and apart from that, Kenya is going through a situation as well where they have a bill on the table about the tax section where they're going to hike the taxes. So the people in Kenya, they're upset about that and they're protesting that. So what this now becomes a conflict now because they're saying, okay, we need the police officers here for this situation. You're taking police officers to send to work in Haiti. So that's another situation. So that's basically what it is. My view about it really is that I applaud the Kenyan people for standing up for their rights. I'm very disappointed that whenever we have a situation where human beings, especially African descendants, who stand up for their rights against oppression, the police are always sent in to quell that stance, that uprising. Too quickly, it ends up in the loss of life of Africans.
Yeah. And just to add to what you're saying, I commend Kenya on both ends. I got to kind of play two sides from what I'm understanding, because as far as the situation in Haiti, it seems like Haiti is not getting support at all. So I commend Kenya as an African nation to stand up and even consider even sending police officers over there to try and gain control on the international scene. So I think it's a beautiful thing that they're attempting to do, but just like in most situations, policing don't really work, you know? And it seemed like it should be more of a international issue where if they were going to send somebody, it seemed like they would send soldiers opposed to sending police officers, you know? Because just like the people of Kenya say, they need their own police for their own streets. You know, they have situations going on that they need policing for internally, you know? So far as supporting another country, it seems like that would be a national issue and not a policing issue too. Yeah. And far as the UN being having any part of this, I don't understand how they would send police from another small nation to go and police a nation that's in turmoil. You know? It seems like soldiers from somewhere should have been sent if it's an international issue to me.
What's it, Wizada?
Well,
that?
it's really a comment issue. I will attack it from two. I will attack it from two angles. First, we got situation the guy of the UN mandating and authorizing that Kenya send its troops there. Kenya look how we look like Africa. They have no place in the Caribbean. The Caribbean is capable of managing and dealing with a situation that arises in the Caribbean. It becomes complicated because Haiti is resisting American troops and other foreign troops in the country. So America, we already know, owns majority of the resources in Haiti. It is using Kenya under the guise of a UN mandate to gain control and allow the people who they want to be in power, because the counts are putting resistance to the people who are in power and who is not serving the people's interests, but serving their backers and serving their supporters' interests. So that is why where we are with that situation in Haiti and Kenya's involvement. Now, with the financial bill that the government was trying to push through in Kenya, because the IMF really all over it. It's written all over it because that is about 60% of Kenya's GDP. And if we check out and look who are Kenya's creditors, you only see where this is going. So, but for the one, the increasing tax represents big implication for the ordinary people and for the people of Kenya who cannot afford basic necessities and maintain a decent standard of living. The bill was paying to increase tax increase in things like cooking oil, bread, and personal hygiene, sanitary items that women need. So it goes on the arm of ordinary people who are already struggling. So we think on the Gen Z, particularly the Gen Z, they organize themselves through social media and other platforms to placard and reach those people who have access to the internet and they took to the streets. And the government in turn decided to push back by calling the army. And the army has to be authorized to deal with situations like this. And the purpose of the army of a country is to defend the country from external attacks. So they criminalized the people and brought in the army, and people lost their life as a result. We're looking pretty fast. This causes a massive knock-on effect on the poor people who are the ones who are gonna feel it most. And the IMF is raining all over it. And you know where the IMF go, there is debt, destruction, and the country is not allowed to develop in the way they want to develop. And also, they nationalize the resources of the countries. That is where the people stepped in and decided they will not have that.
You Benji?
Yes, no, it's economic, it's psychological, it's all of the above, right? Think about, I'll go to Haiti first, and where Haiti is, right? A position next to America. She's in the Caribbean, the first freed African Africans in the West, their significance, but yet Haiti has always had puppet governments, right, for a long time, as we know, right? We've seen the U.S. and her intervention into Haiti's politics. But with this decline in society or the breakdown of our entire governmental structure in Haiti today, it poses a real interesting situation, right? One, you talk about Kenya getting involved, but nobody has had the gall to help Haiti, including the U.S., who is always involved in her politics. Yet they could send billions for wars in Ukraine. They could support Israel. They can do all of that. But in your backyard, a country who you have had political relations with all the time, or have political relations with, you don't help. But it gets deeper. It's psychological. You go to Kenya. Think about who Kenya is, right? Kenya, an Eastern African country, for example, right, has their own issues. Ruto, do you realize he has been the first African president to be entertained by the White House in 15 years, Roots? In 15 years, it gets deep, and it's psychological. Now, under this UN mandate to send Kenyan police officers to Haiti to help quell whatever is going on in Haiti, there's something psychological happening, but there's something on the background. There's a relationship between Kenya and US that has developed, right, over time. Right? But here's the psychology of sending 200 Africans to quell the situation. Have we realized that Africans are only in fear of Africans? We, as African people, the only people we fear is ourselves. So it becomes even more psychological. You send a people now, your own people, African people, to show who's more African in their dominance over another African. There's a psychological component. There's there's a financial component. There's all of this, man. It's so complicated that you could go on and on and on, right? In Kenya, you have a different situation. You have, as Yaga said, hey, you have this country that's owing the IMF all this money, and especially after COVID, after COVID, it left them in a real devastating manner where their GDP had fallen off, stuff like that. So you have this economic situation. You borrow all this money from the IMF, but you're borrowing all this money with terms, right? But think about one of the terms under the law. One of the terms under the agreement with the IMF was that you cut subsidies. So when you cut subsidies and you raise taxes, that's how you make the money back to pay off the loan that you owe. So for every 10 shillings they make, they pay back 7 to the IMF based on their loan agreement. So listen, man, you know, to cut this short, we have situations that are going on in the world where we see that the disruption is happening because of the players behind the scene, and they're normally the same culprits throughout the book.
So what I have to say about the issue is I think it's quite ironic. While Kenya is sending troops to Haiti to stop a riot or stop violence, violence is going on in Kenya. So yeah, I mean, we're over 23 people at the last time I heard have died, and it's going on for a couple of days now. And I mean, I think they have pulled back the bill, so the people have got what they want for a while. But I think it's quite ironic, and personally, I think Kenya should focus on their problems before they start to focus on other people's problems. And you got they are them right when I say they are just being used by the UN and their countries to push forward their their agenda. Because America is right by Haiti, one of the biggest, most powerful army in the world, who anywhere in the world there is a conflict, they are there to, to stop a conflict, and they're in Haiti backyard. Why they didn't send in troops? You know what I mean? But I think Kenya, who has been one of the rising economies in Africa, want to put themselves on the world stage. You know what I mean? They take this I don't know what this the hint or to the press. But I said Kenya should focus more on their problem before they start to focus on other people's problems.
If I could interject as well, the fact that you said that Kenya is one of the thriving African economies at present, right? Everyone's comparing them to what's it? I believe it's Sri Lanka. They're comparing them to this to say, oh, they're doing exceptionally well with their economy. But at the same time, they have a GDP that's almost 70%. So how is it that we're saying that this economy is thriving, but their GDP is so high and their debt is so high? I don't understand it.
The debt is what is high. It is 60 to 70% of the GDP.
70%.
I want to bring balance, because this is a show that we're on the perfect balance structure. So I will try to have balanced views in the reasoning every time we gather and reason whether we agree or we disagree. Now, the issue in Haiti has been going on months before this situation arises. So I don't think it is linked in particular to the current situation, but you cannot ignore the fact of what is going on the ground in Kenya, and those 400 extra personnel that they drafted are regular force to send to Haiti would have served a better purpose at home than traveling hundreds of miles across the Caribbean.
Yeah, I agree. Now, when we look into Haiti now, I'd like to just kind of backtrack on Haiti a little bit and look into basically why Haiti is not getting the support that she's supposed to be getting. Now, we can understand the U.S. situation with Haiti. Haiti is still being punished because of a rebellion that happened 200 years ago, basically. And all of the situations that Haiti is going through the years, as far as being independent and on her own and not getting support from the U.S. The U.S. hasn't been in support of Haiti ever since the rebellion, if we look at it in real life. And every time the Haitian official government is overthrown in these type of situations, because this is not the first, a lot of the time it's the U.S. government behind it, as far as supporting the rebels, supplying arms, keeping confusion going on in these people's country, where the government that's being chosen to rule is really not in control, because the rebels have too much power, because they have the real power behind them. The power is not really behind the Haitian government. The power is behind who is rebelling against the Haitian government. And just like maybe about when I was in Jamaica, I guess this was probably about 18, 20 years ago, when the Aristide situation happened, where Aristide had to come to Jamaica and live for a while, because at that time, the Haitian government got overthrown. The rebels were too powerful, all the way until the president had to reach out to the CARICOM community. Now, that's what I want to bring in now, the CARICOM community. It seems like the CARICOM would have more support for Haiti than the U.S. would. Now, I'm sure that the CARICOM community is not as powerful as the U.S., but I feel like that should be the first community to step up towards assisting Haiti.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Hogun. Well, so maybe this is a topic that we need to discuss on a more wider scale. But
yeah,
let us move on to the next balanced views segment.
Oh,
We want to send out our condolences to Kingsley Cooper, attorney at law, fashion and entertainment trailblazer, founder and chairman of the Pulse International Limited, who has passed away. So this is I was wondering with the passing of Mr. Cooper, to send our condolences to bring up an issue. Through Pulse, Cooper pioneered and developed an international modeling industry for the Caribbean in the process, discovering and developing supermodels and other international stars. The company created opportunities for local and international talent in music, fashion, Pulse promote and produce renowned international events such as Reggae Jam and Caribbean Fashion Week. The events featured headliners including Chaka Khan, the Commodores, Ron DMC, Kelly Rowland, Brian McKnight. And he was also instrumental in the development of the Peter Tosh Museum, which is located on his Pulse Center in Kingston. But the issue I want to use this to bring up is we have seen the passing of a lot of our pioneers, a lot of our heroes, a lot of our, you know what I mean, our trailblazers. And it's just, a saying going around that these people are maybe getting older and passing on. You know what I mean? And we are not seeing like a replacement for these people. We're not seeing like other people stepping up. What you guys think about that? Do you guys think that that's an issue, or you guys or yeah, them think is we have people who are stepping up?
Well, first of all, I'd like to send out condolences for Brother Kingsley Cooper, because I've been in Jamaica and witnessed the work that he was doing. And, I'd like to commend him on that. He really gave a lot of models chances to become supermodels, and we'd like to give out condolences and big him up for his work that he did while he was here.
Yeah.
But as far as the trailblazers and people coming up to fill their shoes, so to speak. I wouldn't really leave it as no one stepping up. I think a lot of people are willing to step up and really wanting to fill those positions, but I would pretty much blame it on monopolizing. A lot of us, when we get into these positions that we really appreciate and really seeing the benefit from, we kind of try and monopolize on these things and try and kind of hold it in our own circles and kind of dictate where we want it to go. That's problematic in the community because you have so many young people who are coming up who are willing and able to fill a lot of positions, but because the whole industry was sort of monopolized in a certain way, people don't get the opportunities to be able to join the way how they're willing to. So I wouldn't really say that no one is stepping up to get those positions, to fill those positions. But because the industry was kind of put into a monopoly, all the people who want access don't really have it.
All right, thank you, Ogun. Dada?
Well, I'd wish to add my condolences as well. Kingsley Cooper is a very iconic figure in Jamaican fashion, in Jamaican music, in Jamaican entertainment. He has done a tremendous work in his lifespan, and he has offered a lot of people access to opportunities to change their lives and their standard of living. As it relates to people stepping up, I believe that we suffer from a culture where known as gatekeeping. There is resources. In order to gain access to these resources, there's a gate, quote unquote, metaphorical gate. And there are people who are placed in positions to determine who gets access to these gates, right? Whenever people, because when we think about it, like Kingsley Cooper is one of many. There are many people who had visionary ideas like Kingsley Cooper. There are many people who had who were great, who had great eye for talent, who could do these things, but not everyone is given access to that. And that's where the challenge is the access. So a lot of people have the talent, a lot of people have the desire, a lot of people have the drive, the initiative, but not everyone has the access. And that's where the issue is. So it's not that people aren't stepping up, because if you look, there's people who have equal talent, who has the drive, who has the vision, but they're not given access. And I believe that that's where the issue really lies.
Thank you, Ras Dada, for your views. All right, we go to Bingy.
Yeah, so condolences to the Cooper family. So what I have read about Kingsley Cooper is that he was an influencer, amazing personality in the Caribbean community on a whole, not just Jamaica, starting the Caribbean Fashion Week as well. His work seemed to be very, very inviting to a global community. So for me, men like that, they have visions and they follow through with those visions. That's what separates them from other, right? The drive to do more. So when you look at a personality like that, even if you had no association with them, all you do is consider their works. That's all you have to do. You consider what they have done, and you realize how that person had functioned within society, but yet function on a global level. So, with that being said, I mean, there's not much more I can say about Kingsley Cooper, except that what I have observed through media. Again, condolences to the Cooper family.
Thank you, Bingy. But the Teacher Mahat.
Yeah, I want to send my condolences to Kingsley and may his family find peace and solace at this difficult moment, as they really Kingsley had a blueprint, and I think the blueprint is still there. He understands the landscape very well. Jamaica, the entire Caribbean, the international stage, and that is why he had success over these years. And he's an icon, and no one can take that away from him. So we have to give that to him. And I would just like to hope that there are people who are a part of the network and a success plan has been put in place to carry out the legacy of our champion, because we've got so many champions that have trod on, and their legacy has been lost because of various issues, family issues, other personal issues, and business deal that didn't went on appropriately. So I am just hoping that a very good success plan is in place and nothing will stop. But we see more as time advances with the advent of technology and reaching an even bigger global audience. More things to come from the Pulse Group.
All right, thank you, Aga. And for my last question in the balance view segments, now we're going to a little bit in sports with a twist. So, recent.
Every time we go sports, you know.
Yeah, every time. This one is really popular. I think you're gonna like this one. So recently, Jamaican superstar Leon Bailey turned down the chance to represent Jamaica at the Copa America Championship because he had a party around the same time. People are seeing this as a big disrespect to the country, and they are calling for his ban for life. They are calling for his suspension. But I want to put a little twist to it, because we are seeing these things where people in general from the Caribbean and from Africa don't show the same respect for their country as they show toward these European country or a country like America or Canada. The respect is not the same. So when we are in people are in America or in Europe, they obey everything. They show these respect. When a player get called up for an England team, they're like there. If they do something, if they even party, they apologize and they're so apologetic. But when it comes to this Caribbean countries or African countries, you know what I mean? It's like they're doing the country a favor. And we see this in all manufacturers, not just sports people, with everybody. You see over here, you are at a stoplight. In America, you're at a stoplight and nobody's there at the stoplight, and you wait until that stoplight is changed. You don't throw garbage through your window. You don't you know what I mean? You don't speed on the road. Certain things you don't do. But when you go to the Caribbean or an African country, it's like there's no respect. You throw garbage on the street. You don't want to wait at a stoplight. You don't want to obey the rules of that country. So there's no respect for the country that you are from, the country that you were born, but you have this high respect for authority in these European countries or in these Western countries. What you guys have to say about that? What caused?
Well, could I say that I understand what the I say national identity is important. When we look at this player and we look at his stories, even though you're saying that he was having a party, he also said that he's always had issues with the Jamaican Football Federation. And part of the issues was very simple: paying for a ticket for him to come to play and represent the country, having a room for himself, very simple thing, showing up and not having shorts to wear, or having women t-shirts printed for men to play in. So he lists a bunch of issues throughout the years that he has faced. So this wasn't just, I don't think this was just a likely decision. This is a decision he made because of his frustration. That's my take on this.
All right, over to you, Ogun.
Yeah. Well, like Bingy said, when an individual make a decision, most of us on the outside, we start to judge and we start to come out to our own head to try and figure out, not even try and figure anything out, just to have something to say, basically. And we don't really know the internal reasons why the person made that decision. Just like sports players all around the world, they're under a lot of pressure, you know, they're doing a lot of things that not really they wanted to do, but things that are required of them because of the position that they play. I'm a person, I've worked a million different jobs. When you're doing a job, it's definitely required of you to fulfill that job. But at the same time, you have your personal obligations, you have family, you have this and that, you have parties to go to, you have invitations, you know? So I really would leave it on the individual for his decision. I can't really judge him for his decision. But far as the topic of us not supporting our own as much as we would go and support our exterior source, yeah, I know it sounds like a conspiracist a lot of times, but I always go back to slavery with these things. You know, I always go back to slavery, and it's basically coming from a slave mentality, the way we function, the way we do. And we don't even have to go on even a national or international scale. Just to keep it short, we can go into our own families. You know, you can look at your youth, and you have a nice car where you're driving back and forth to school and everything, but he would still look at your neighbor's car and feel like it's better. You see me? You can buy him nice shoes and buy him drip, so to speak, like how these young folks talk, you know? But even his drip is not going to be comparable to the next youth drip that he's looking at on the exterior. And it's a problem that we've had in our communities. I'm not going to say from the beginning, I'm going to say from slavery, you know? And whatever we did in our households in that time, it was never good enough, you know? So it kept our own looking to exterior sources to be better. And that's simply what's going on in the Caribbean for as being right up next to America and having a superpower right next to you, you know? You're always going to look at that superpower like it's the great thing, you know? Opposed to what you grew and learned at home. Even the young man's decision not to go and support the team or whatever at that time, I wouldn't really make the base of it be that he's really respecting somebody else's place more than his own. I would agree with Bingy and say it's a lot of different things that must have added up to his decision. And we have to respect it after he makes his decision at the end of the day.
All right, thank you, Ogun. Over to Dada.
Give thanks. First thing I'd like to say is that I do not think that Leon Bailey has attained the status of superstars yet. I think he's a star. I think he's a renowned player. But I don't think he has attained the status of superstar yet. And I believe that initially, that's where the issue is, that in his head, he sees himself as a superstar, right? And as such, he is behaving in that manner, right? First of all, no disrespect to Leon Bailey anyway. This is just my opinion, right? Culturally, we're not brought in a setting or taught in a setting of a hierarchy of values as some nations do. You have some nations that they are taught a hierarchy of value, meaning first in value is the country. So the first and most valuable thing to anyone in this country they are taught is your country. Then God, then family. And it goes on from there, right? Now, when we are taught to value our country, our nation, then things like I got here and the shorts weren't right, or I have to share a room, or I may have to come out of pocket to help to pay a plane fare in a struggling country, right? Those things would not become deciding issues because ultimately your value system is going to say country first, right? So that's the first thing that I say. And I just interject by also saying that in your club career, I'm sure there are issues there, but you don't come out and say, well, you know what? I'm not going to play for the club because these issues aren't perfect. Nothing is perfect. Everything has challenges. Everything has issues. So what we have to do is we have a real love for anything that we're doing. We have to look beyond the issues. We have to look beyond the challenges and see how we can create a solution or create because okay, so one decision you could make is to say, okay, I'm going to boycott the team. Now you know that the team is depending on you, and you're going to say, okay, because I'm not getting these things, I'm going to boycott the team. Okay, why could your option be to use your influence, right, to gain sponsorship, right, to accommodate these issues that you're raising? Uniforms, accommodation, travel. You could raise sponsorship just through your influence to help to fix these things, as opposed to just be like, okay, I'm not a part of it, I'm done with it. And that's my view on it. I think that he could have taken a different approach, and I think that if he actually valued our country, then that would be the last resort for him. As it relates to the other section of your synopsis, there's an old adage which says the grass is always green on the other side, right? I believe this is a human experience. Like, people will always see what's outside, what's almost, if we want to use the word unattainable, as more valuable, as better, for want of a better term, right? So because of this, when you are in, again, it comes to slavery and the psychology of slavery, we view the slave master, so to speak, the Caucasian, so to speak, the Eurocentric, European side of things as better. So we give more value to those things. Because we're in those settings, we're going to behave. But when we're not in those settings, then we don't have a need to behave because there's no structure in our thing. But if we do that, it will never get better. What we have to do is we have to give that same value to our own thing so that things can improve and become better.
Thank you, Ras Dada. Over to you, teacher. Who's next? Teacher Mahat? Right?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Football is not only for the individual who plays the football, but it symbolizes the hopes and dreams of a nation. And I think the world I need to think about that. There are personal issues that need to be addressed, and they need to be addressed in a way that is amicable to both parties and solve all the differences. But it has been festering and it has been drawn out. Over the years, we have seen borders who have difficulties with JFF. This is not a new thing. The Copa America the World Cup. We have been to the World Cup in 2008. We're going short for different sponsors. Then time to was a little border, you was a border. And we said nothing. Whole of national pride, and that is the spirit of the football. So you have to do anything for Jamaica. And instead of asking what Jamaica can move for him, he needs to ask himself, what can he move for Jamaica? No, the things that he's advocating for are the basic things that people in Jamaica who go for day in, day out have to buy out of their body. They have to pay their own accommodation. They have to pay for their own transport. They have to buy their own food. It's a continuity of the Jamaican people. And he needs to put his bitterness aside. I'm sorry about this. Personal differences and get proud of the football because it is not only a footballer for himself and the people around him. He's a role model for millions who are aspiring to play football to reach the highest pinnacle and the highest level and playing for your country. There's no highest honor than what he served in your country. And he has let himself down, he's let the country down, and he has let the people down. It brings to the town with the football, and let's start enjoying the football again, and to see the best team on the pitch, and give us the best chance for us to make it to the next World Cup. So he needs to talk himself out, get himself together, and start playing ball so the people can see play ball, because he let to play ball in Jamaica, he didn't even have to play ball in England. And people take our career only because of his skills, but in addition to the fact that he's a Jamaican and if he's not wearing the colors on the international stage, notice he left to be desired of the professional that he is. But he knows right from down, and he knows how to turn up himself because he's seen do it at the top level. So he just now needs to do it for country and tackle the issues that need to be resolved and start showcasing his talent on the international stage again.
Hashtag patriotism.
Thank you, Yada. So, I don't remember giving my take on Kingsley Cooper, and pioneers. What I want to say about that is people, you know what I mean? We as one who tried is always asking for more pioneers, always asking for more heroes. I just say that we don't need any more heroes. These heroes have done the work, they have left their legacy, and they have left the blueprint for us to try and follow. So it's just for all of us to just follow what has really been said. You know what I mean? And that's why we have the perfect balance child class to fill sort the void that they have been left and carry on the work. We don't read heroes. All of us should, you know what I mean, become the hero and do the work. Leon Bailey, so being a sports person, Leon Bailey is a very sad thing. People, you know what I mean, we are very upset about him not taking up the call to represent Jamaica, the Copa America. But the way I see Leon Bailey, Leon Bailey is not a patriot, and that's what it is. Jamaica want him to be that hero. Back to the Kingsley Cooper thing. Jamaica want him to be that hero that we had in 1998. You know what I mean? Those patriotic who went and fight to bring us to the World Cup. Leon Bailey is not that person, and we have to understand that. When we understand that, we know that he's not the person. You know what I mean? The people that we had in 1998, they wanted to represent Jamaica. Leon Bailey feel that Jamaica want him. You know what I mean? So he feel like he's giving something to Jamaica and not Jamaica doing something for him. And I mean, he don't see himself like this is my duty to go and represent my country.
Let me cut it out a little.
Yes.
In time today, some of those guys pay your ways before I play for so very long.
Yeah, so I was just getting to that. I was seeing a video the other day of Lionel Messi, maybe the greatest player that we have ever seen. Definitely in my lifetime. I don't care what you want to say that. Yeah, he paid for the whole Argentina team and paid the people that work with the Argentina team. He paid for that himself as the star, and he also always room with somebody else. So I don't know why Leon Bailey feel that he shouldn't be rooming with a teammate. That is something that Bill camaraderie in the dressing room, and he bring with the team. You always and it cut for a team like a Jamaica who doesn't have the money, like Argentina or any other team. All the teams around the world, you room together to cut costs and to build camaraderie. So I don't know why he think that he should be in a room by himself. All that is the thing is, he's just not a patriotic person. He feel like he's a star and he's the one that is bringing something to Jamaica. You know what I mean? So he's never gonna see that. He's never gonna see that. But I want to go to the point that we as a people, we need to show respect for our African country and our Caribbean country. The same respect we show for a Western country, we should show it for our African country. So when you go home, don't be throwing garbage on the street because you know you wouldn't do that in a Western country. Don't be speeding and breaking all these laws and, you know what I mean, involving yourself in all these corruption, paying people for things that you know you could do normally. So you involve yourself in corruption. You know what I mean, doing all those things. So and you are part of the whole issue of the country, making the country can't rise. You know what I mean? The same respect you show for a Western country, we have to get to the point that we are showing it for our African country and our Caribbean country. You know what I mean? That's the only way
Is the
to rise.
is divided the country, and sport is something that is supposed to bring people together.
Yeah, man. So
In national unity.
we have the respect. So that is it. So we have a long balanced views. That is it. For balanced views, and over to you, that.
Yeah, give thanks. You know, on our previous episode, we had a wonderful discussion, in my opinion, on Juneteenth. So what we wanted to do today was to basically segue from that into the effects of abolition and the history after abolition and emancipation. One of the major sections, especially in American history, is an era that we represent as segregation. So we're going to start off by talking about segregation. If I might offer a definition for the term segregation, and this is the legal definition, I might add, segregation is the act by which a natural or legal person separates other persons on the basis of race, color, language, religion, nationality, or national or ethnic origin without an objective and reasonable justification. What are our views on this definition? Start with a book.
Segregation, just like it said, man, it's put down by a legal group. Let's listen to that word now. So that means if the legal group is segregating itself from somebody else, that somebody else is illegal because he didn't really have a say-so about the situation, right? So what we have now with segregation, we have white people who basically chose to separate themselves legally from non-white people, right? Now, during the segregation period, now, of course, this was before, but I'm a historian, so I read a lot and I kind of learned about segregation. When segregation was the issue of the time, it just seemed to me like black people were in a better situation as far as finance, economic, and self-sufficiency. When we were suffering the segregated South, first of all, the segregation became an issue after slavery was no more, after slavery was abolished, like I was speaking on Juneteenth. And Juneteenth is all built up around the abolition of slavery, right? After slavery, when black people were, so to speak, free, we actually started acquiring economic status, meaning a slave master couldn't afford to take care of his own farm anymore because his farm was built off of free labor that he was receiving from slaves, okay? When slavery got abolished and the slaves didn't have to stay no more, he didn't have that free labor anymore. So what he had to do is, so to speak, kind of share his wealth. That's how sharecropping came about. Sharecropping came about with slave masters, old slaves, working the same old land that they used to work as slaves, but they share the crops. So nobody's still getting paid for it. You're sharing crops for shared work, so to speak, you know? So from the sharecropping stage, this is where segregation came because black people had started becoming, so to speak, equal with white people, doing the same kind of work, working in the same kind of fields, and we having to share the same produce that we produce, right? So this created segregation. This made it the legal people want to be different from the ones who they considered illegal, who are the former slaves. So they say, all right, we're going to have white stuff over here, and then we're going to have black stuff over here. This is what we know segregation as, okay? Black water fountain, white water fountain. White people don't want to drink out of the black water fountain. We don't want black people in our restaurants, so white restaurants, black restaurants. We don't want to go to school with these niggas, so black schools, white schools. This is what segregation was, okay? So that situation continued creating economic wealth for us black people because we supported our own in this time. And we had to support our own because we couldn't support the white people because they didn't want us there, period. So if we come up to the civil rights era, beyond segregation, and when we got integrated, that basically put a stop to all black economics because black people were able to go and support white people now. And just like we talked about on the topics that we were speaking about earlier, like Dada said, the grass is always green on the other side. We felt like going to their establishments was better than the establishments that we were already supporting. And this caused our establishments to close down. And now all we're left with is this manufactured world that we have where everyone has to go to Walmart and Target to go and get an apple. You see? Because you don't have your community farmer who has apples. You don't have your...
The problem with that oven is that you're not manufacturing anything. It's all being shipped overseas.
It's all being shipped in from the world powers, you know? So segregation is a real tricky issue, man. They taught us to fight against it, but it really was working out right for us as a people, as far as my views go.
Dingy, what's
Yes,
your take on it?
I don't know. Segregation. I think segregation was an actual law, right? Passed in 1896, right?
Mhm.
We consider we had emancipation, right? Yeah, emancipation, right, from 1865. So
63. 1863.
1863, but 1865 when we talk about Juneteenth, right? So
Right.
we going with 1865, right? We going with a later date. But you had a 31-year period between Emancipation and Segregation Act, right? What was happening all the time? That I think segregation in its reality was still being enforced, right? The act now, the law just made it official. This is what we're gonna do officially. Think about it. The courts decided to make that official, to make whatever conditions that you were going through official. And if we read accounts of those conditions of freed men, most of them weren't good, right? The atrocities were still being committed all throughout that time, right? Think about how long and the effects from slavery to segregation to the Board of Education versus Brown, which is in 1954. So now we talking about this real huge gap, right, in time where Africans are still underprivileged. Yet there are few that made it, right? They made it economically during that time because we had free black men who were wealthy even during that time, right?
Right.
But they were an exception to the rule. Right? So we could identify them because they were a exception to the rule. But the effects, the mental effect of that is, hey, listen, so we have this period of time, man, where our children are not even being properly educated, right? They have limitations. They can't go here, they can't go there, we can't go on the bus, we can't. So we have all these limitations. So I think segregation was a what do you call it? A scar, right? In human history. Right? It wasn't good. But in a period from Juneteenth, abolishment of slavery, through segregation, it was not a good period in history for Africans in no means. And then coming forward to the Board of Education versus Brown in 1954. So look at a period of time. So basically what I'm saying is we as a people, our journey, right, in actual participation or limited freedom, which we still have limited freedom, has really just begun. It's recent. We're talking about a 60-year period where we've been on track. But our history is recent, it's not as far as back as people think it is, because it is a continuation in the development of our movement forward. It's a forward movement, but is our historical past, right? Leading to now. But when we look at the gaps in time, our freedoms that we enjoy right now, our limited freedoms that we enjoy right now, is very limited. It's a limited time span in which we have been enjoying this so-called limited freedom, literally really participating on a wider scale instead of what we call a symbolic or small or minute scale where you just had a few African communities or people actually being able to participate in the system that we live in.
Thank you, Mingy. You're eager to
Not really. But my view on segregation is just a part of the struggle. So we were taken from our homeland as African people and brought to this new place. We have been fighting struggles, and segregation is just one of the struggles that we have to fight. You know what I mean? First it was, you know what I mean, slavery, and then we have to fight segregation. Then we have to start defending our civil rights, and you know what I mean. But every time we fight something, it's like there is something else for us to fight for. But on segregation, even though the law has changed and say segregation has ended, it has not really ended. We are still segregated. Just like we're talking about Juneteenth, and we say slavery. They say slavery ended and we are emancipated, but slavery, it's just a different form of slavery. So now we have a different form of segregation. Now we have a class system, and they tell us it's blood in our face. You have the working class, you have the middle class, and you have the what we call
upper class.
the upper class and all the class. And so that's the segregation now. Because if you are in the poor or the working class, you are not going to be living where the upper class is living. You know what I mean? And the food that you eat is not the same food that the upper class eat. Is a big difference. So that's the segregation. And so as Marcus Garvey said, we are not free until everyone is free. So we are still fighting the fight of segregation, and until the whole, we don't have no classism, or the hism and schism is over. We're going to still have segregation, because we still have segregation is right here in front of us. And I mean, it's just in a different format. Capitalism is based on segregation. The whole base of that is segregation. And I mean, but it's just a different form of segregation. It's not so in this segregation, it's not only black people that are in the lower class. In the lower class.
Right.
Anyone can be in
the
that
classes have gone beyond.
Yeah.
Beyond.
But guess what? Guess what? The people who were the upper class is still the upper class. That hasn't changed. They just for capitalism purposes, because that's how capitalism made their money. You need a lot of people. You need more people in the lower class to you know what I mean? So the upper class can enjoy all the benefits of the earth. You know what I mean? While the lower class struggle to maintain their lavish lifestyle and their destruction of the earth, and calling it lavish. And yeah, so that's my on segregation.
And it's funny as well that ties into the Kenya situation as well, because the taxes that they're trying to impose, it's going to affect the working class people much more than it affects the upper class people as well.
Yes.
You know, that's Yaga, what's your take on this?
Well, when you remember that this was a terrible time in his story, where unjust bills were committed against our ancestors. And we have seen with each successful initiative, our people, ILI people, always comes out the worst of each initiative. And for us to have that, we have to fight. We get nothing for free. We work the hardest, but they still complain that we're lazy. That doesn't make any sense to me. No, if we come forward to this time, just think about what the worst been in your life when you were marginalized. How did you feel all that? And triple that by 100 or put it on steroid for our ancestors and for those people in those times who have been through that. And they still hold the fight. But until we other people organize and centralize and start doing it for ourselves, it won't get any better. With the different organizations that you can see around the world, the IMF, the World Bank, these institutions were designed to maintain the status quo. And if it doesn't happen economically, then you need army.
Okay, yeah. Thanks for your views. So the definition, right? I want to go back to the definition in a moment, but I also want to speak on some of the points that you guys have made so far. Really, right? This is the perfect balance chart class. Balance is a key area of our reasoning, of our views, right? We're always going to seek a balance. So yes, there were atrocities committed during segregation, from slavery into segregation and beyond. There were serious atrocities that were committed against African people. Agreed, 100%. No disagreement there, right? And this is in light of what Ogun has added. We, in segregation, right? We had a black water fountain. That means that was ours, right? We had a black school. That means that was ours. We had a black source for healthcare. That means that was ours. We had a black store. All of these resources, and might I add necessary resources, we had in our communities. We had control of these things during segregation.
Complete
right?
control.
And no shortage of skills.
No shortage of
shortage of-
skills, right?
That's right.
We had all these things during segregation. Now, because now we wanted to say, oh, you know what? We don't want to feel, and a term,
There you
we
go.
want to have access to that person's water fountain. We want to have access to that person's school. We want to have access to that person's store.
We want
wanna have
equal
access-
rights.
So instead of developing what we had,
What we had. That's right.
instead of developing what we had, we now saying, oh, we don't want this. And it comes back to the point that you raised in balance views again, where we value other people's stuff greater than we do our own.
That's right.
Understand? So instead of saying, okay, we're going to develop these things that we have, which are necessary for the development of any community, any nation, we're now going to say, okay, we're going to drop these things and we're going to focus over here because these are the better ones. These are the ones that we want. Yes, they may have been better in the moment, but if we had developed ours, then
That's right.
ours would become better as well.
That's right. Big
Great
part of
part.
our downfall. Still, it continues to this day. A big part of our downfall is that we're looking for justice, first of all. Justice stems from justification. We're looking for that from others, opposed to setting our own standard, right? Just like we talk about the whole process from slavery to sharecropping, segregation, all the way up to now, where everybody feel like the best thing that you can do to take care of your family is go and get a job and work for this white man, right? Like Okavango said, we still segregated. We still fall under the definition of segregation today. We still fall under
It's shameful.
that definition.
I'll go back to the definition, right? Because in the definition, it identifies the criteria for segregation. And these are race, color, language, religion, nationality, or national or ethnic origin. All of those things speak to race.
And the main word, legality.
Right. No, but outside of even the legality, we're looking at the criteria that they say this is how you segregate. All of those criteria speak to race, right? None of it speaks to economic sustainability or economic stability.
Strictly
Yeah, there are
None of
people-
it says- so
people-
we could segregate according to economic stability forever. Because in the definition of segregation, there is no reference to that as a criteria.
You going, Bingy?
But it also said that there is no justification for segregation.
Reasonable justification.
Right. There's no,
Reasonable
there's no
or objective. Or objective.
right. Considering the time period, what I was saying too, our struggle is really fresh, right? We look at the period in time in history that we're talking about. You're talking about even ending segregation as they're talking about, or having equal rights to go to school and have the same type of education as we were talking about. That's recent history.
Just since the 50s.
It's very, very recent. It's right there, right?
Education. Brown and the Board of Education is where
Yeah, the initial ruling was in 54, and then the appeal was in 55.
Yeah.
Right.
But those are recent times we're talking about. So
very close.
our develop. That's what I'm saying. Our past is so
This is
close.
my mother's time. Just my mother.
Yeah, it is so close.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah,
So may I say something? When we speak of issues, we have to bear in mind that it's a big world. The hurt is big, and we have a lot of countries who have different issues. So we have to be careful. We're not just speaking of like issues in America, because I heard that us mention something a while ago, like we had this and we had that, and you know what I mean. But that was in America. So even if you had those things in America, there was different issues going on in different parts of the world. You know what I mean? Because while some things were in America, the other part of the world was different. Remember, we had slavery in parts of the world up to the 90s.
Yeah.
I can't remember when Mauritania in Africa. No, I'm talking in Africa. But a law, I think I can't remember the year, but it was in the 2000s to abolish slavery.
Yeah.
I'm about the freedom of everybody and everything.
Of course.
I mean, for everything, every animal in the world, every living thing should be free. You know what I mean? From and be, you know what I mean, at one unhurt. So I'm saying, if all of us is not, if we don't see each other as, you know, just another human being, everybody's just another human being. You know what I mean? We're going nowhere. We have to look at the thing everywhere.
Yeah, globally. Yeah,
Globally.
I have to look at it as a global issue.
As a global issue.
Yeah.
The same thing I speak about. Maybe the entire they call the global south is segregated from the global north. So the global north is seen as up here, while the global south is seen as down there. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, man.
so that is segregated by geography.
South.
We are also segregated by geography. If you're from the global south, you are a lesser people. And if you're from the global north, you are, you know what I mean? Up.
Yeah.
A lot
The
of
proper word for global south with the third world.
third world.
On the
So
world issue.
people from the global south now are trying to be, you know, the upper class, and people always try to migrate. People always try to be get the culture from the global north. And so those things infiltrate, and it causes chaos. And if we as human beings and hurt beings be moving as a one, everybody would just be, you know what I mean, just be what you are, and everybody we just do what we're supposed to do and share and care for each other. You know what I mean? But we have these separating things that, you know what I mean, keep affecting us. And we as human beings, as living beings, we have to get to that point where nobody, kin, color, hair, whatever, everybody is just seen as a human being, and that's where we have to be.
A man would have to be living at his highest potential for that to be possible, right? So you as a human being most of the times don't even realize what it means to be a human being. it is almost impossible for you to understand the simplicity of seeing everyone as a human being, because you don't even understand who you are. So it's not as simple as that. Yes, it's a global perspective, but we're talking about African Americans, right? But it is a global perspective when you talk about Africans. But one has to know themselves first for that to be a reality. And I'm not just talking about I am Bingi or Rasdada or Okovango, knowing thyself elementally, how you work within this whole operation of existence. So that's a whole different thing, right? We're not expecting that of those that are in power, because we see what that so-called power does, how it divides, how it manipulates,
We're
how it
expecting it.
educates. So we see the negativity of that type of power that we look at these power structures. It's because we don't live in that age, brother. We don't live in an age of self-realization. That's a whole different thing.
We're expecting it from the power structure, but we're not getting it.
Well,
what
that's
you
the point.
expected?
That's the point.
What?
That's the point that I'm
same
trying.
thing.
What I'm saying, what I said, we're expecting these things from the power structure, and the power structure was actually designed to keep us away from these things. You see, it's just like we have to understand programming clearly, and we have to take into consideration our experience. Just because we have a love for education don't mean that we should send our children to their schools to be educated. We have to understand the fullness of these things. When one issue is brought up on a whole, we can't really look at it as a whole, because we're looking from two different point of views. We have the structured governments that's running the whole world, who has never been in the best interest of indigenous people. And now we have indigenous people who still exist, who are really living what we're saying that we need to go towards. Like, we have people who are really concerned about human nature. We have people who are really concerned about the environment, about lifting up communities. But these people don't have a forefront, or these people don't have a podium to stand on and be heard. The people who are being heard is the people who are oppressing us. And we can't continue to consider ourselves to be one, knowing that's not the reality. If I want something better for my community, I can't go to my government, because it's my government that broke down my community, if you understand what I'm saying. If I'm looking for a solution, I have to go amongst the regular people and try and create the solution. I can't go to the people in power and beg for the solution, if you understand what I'm saying. I can't put it in the hands of the person who has been oppressing me the whole while. And that's who these governments actually are. I don't care what country you go to. You see, just like the item, I spent a lot of time in Jamaica and the Caribbean, but I was actually born in America. So the sense of pride that a Jamaican would have for nations, I don't have it, because my nation is a superpower that has been oppressing me from the beginning. So I can't have a sense of pride for my nation. I don't consider myself even a person who has a nation. I feel like my nation was wiped out by these people who are claiming to be my nation now. And this is the situation with most governments. I don't care how much pride we have, because we were born there, because our grandparents there, or because they buried our navel string there, or whatever. These people, this government, is who got rid of the indigenous population to put themselves in place and use the indigenous population as their own little toys to play with. And that's basically the situation we're in as a people right now. And the only way that we can find solution is to kind of fall back and create what we had in segregation again. Not what they put on us in segregation, but what we had. If you understand what I'm saying.
Perfectly.
Yeah.
In terms of control of our resources.
Control of our resources, control of our destiny. If we want to wear clothes, We need to be going to our tailor shop like how we used to go. We don't need to be going to Walmart and Target for. You see what I'm saying?
True.
If we're gonna
control everything that is responsible for our development.
our local farmers again, we don't need to be going to this stuff that was shipped in from France and Europe and America.
True.
You know?
Yeah, go.
They control everything that is responsible for our development. And that is the definition of racism. So you tell me,
Well,
has anything changed?
nothing's really changed.
I haven't seen much.
Oh,
It's just a different format. You know what I mean? It's a different packaging. You know what I mean? No,
Label on it.
it only had a label with one writing, not it has colors on it, and it have, you know what I mean? It's well worded, and maybe it have organic on it too. Yeah.
You know?
Things are very attractive to our eyes.
So we come to hear it. Why do I check this?
you know, just to add interject here as well, right? I was speaking to some of the subscribers as well, and they were saying that, you know, the podcast was like the trad class, I beg your pardon. The trad class was lacking entertainment. So I was representing to them that, listen, if entertainment is what you want, right? Like, you have a variety of sources,
A platform.
of sources for entertainment. What we're dealing with here is what we need. That's the focus of what we're dealing with here. What do we need? Not what we want, because we've been getting what we want. And what we want is not doing anything towards our progress, towards our development, towards our benefit, nothing. So what we're dealing with here is what is needed. And what is needed is for conscious-minded individuals come together to attain their full potential. And that is the focus of the Perfect Balance Strike Class. And it's always going to be the focus of the Perfect Balance Strike Class.
And to add to that what you really need sometimes is not it's not normally have a good taste.
What you want.
So sometimes you need some Cinco Bible to have some bitterness in it. It's not what you need is not always the most popular thing for you, you know what I mean? But next time when they say that, tell them it's not entertainment, it's edutainment. It's the trad class, not a podcast. So get it right.
It's the church class. Yes,
It's
it's
a trad
good.
class.
Oh, good.
You would tell you now what to look.
Yeah, I wanted to say something.
I just was adding on to what Okavongo said, man. You know, it's really bigger than entertainment, you know, and we're here for solutions, you know, because we can find all kind of issues. We can find, not even have to find them, you know, they just come to us. They find us, you know. Issues find us, and we can talk about the problems from now all the way back to slave days, you know.
Right.
Yeah. And if we're not really coming up with solutions, we're just talking like everybody else. It is just entertainment. You know?
And that is another function of the trad class, is to find solutions through action and not just through speech.
That's right. You have to have the action, man. Words without action is vain. You know? Yeah, so solutions we say, man. Solutions, man. And you know, you have to be it. I learned this years ago. I went to as a young person, I was searching for myself. And I went to a lot of different people and a lot of different groups, went to a lot of different places expecting that this, like, not expecting that the thing, but reality is that you see need for, it's your obligation to create it. So any space that we see for improvement, we have to be the first to obligate ourselves and step towards that improvement and start making it happen. And like I said, don't go ask the government for help, because they're not scheming against you as soon as you get there.
Give thanks.
So we had a very extensive balanced views this week. We thought we would have had a good board to kind of expound on the stuff we spoke of on our previous episode on Juneteenth, which she did. We spoke about segregation, which we have, and we've spoken about the way forward, you know, coming up with solutions, gaining control of our resources, right? Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to offer each person an opportunity to express their final views, because I realize that this week's episode has been a bit lengthy. So we're gonna give each person the opportunity to express their final views, and then we're gonna wrap up from there. So we'll start with Yaga.
Well, moving forward, as we can see, we are divided as individuals, and each people are achieved and being successful individually. Just imagine coming together and really thanking for all the communities where we are and starting small projects like that to make a difference in the community through education, because education is a people where we need to repair some of the damage that has been done previously. And repairing the damage is basically teaching people about the history, because we're discussing Juneteenth and the issues that goes on with Juneteenth, and some people are still not aware that there is a Juneteenth or even Juneteenth is, because the legislation for it to be celebrated as an holiday has just been recent. And in addition to that, there are some proponents is pushing back on Juneteenth and only see it as a means of commercialization and for people to have a good time and for people to party around and business to profit. But we don't want to lose the significance, the historical significance of what it means to hear people who have been affected by these issues going forward.
Okabongo?
Yeah. So while the aim is to end segregation and discrimination and all those atrocities on every level globally, we have to begin somewhere, and we have to begin with our own community. So we have to begin from fixing our household, our community, our family. You know what I mean? And that's where we're starting from. So we got to get this message out, fix our community, our Black community, fix our African people. We have to be in the right place before we can take on the global issues. And that's our aim, and that's what we should try to do.
Bring it.
Yes, so if I look at what we present to the audience is we present you with a historical view only to show the timeline in which we have been able to participate and what we have accomplished and continue to accomplish. There's a lot of work yet to be done. So because we present these timelines, we know we got to work harder. We got to work more diligently. We also know that we got to work together. We need to develop trust in each other. So here's the problem. We've been hearing these same type of conversations from our youth till now, and these conversations have been going on. It's time for action. So talk is talk, right? We could only prove ourselves through our works. Then we talk about it, then we do something about it. Microly, we can do something about it as Africans. People think that when you say, hey, we got to do something now, it calls for mass movement at the same time. It doesn't necessarily mean mass movement at the same time. It means micro movements. So where 2 or 3 are gathered, where 5 are gathered, where 10 are gathered, it matters microly. Yes, because you preach before you walk. So that's sometimes right. when we talk about, hey, we need to take action, people automatically, how do we get all these people together? No, we start somewhere. The principle is the start. That's why it's on a micro level, which everything is, right? everything is on a micro level. It's happening. If you have $1, it makes sense to make $1, right?
That's right.
So everything happens on a micro. So that's how we have to start thinking, but we have to start doing. So these conversations is highlighting our periods in history, our historical period, movement within that historical period from then till now. But now that we know where we have been, we know what we have to do, we have to start microly. So the 5 of us, the 6 of you, the 2 of you are gathered today. Hey, if you have $1 and you put away our next man, it's $2. You can still do something. So that's how we have to start thinking. We have to start thinking more on a micro level. When we understand that and we start being sufficient on a micro level, then we can do it on a larger scale by coming together, networking. That is the whole purpose, brother. You know, because from a youth, I hear man saying all kind of things, hey, we're going to Africa, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. Well, talk. You know why? Most of the times, man don't trust the man he talking to, you know, on a financial level. He talking to him, but when he think about it, like, I don't really want to, I can't spend $50,000, eh? You had it $50,000, you know, but you don't want to spend it because you don't trust the man you call your brother. So them is the ideology or the kind of thinking we have to get past. We have to develop trust. We have to move forward together. We have to work microly, but we have to understand our past as well.
Oh, good.
Yeah, Iron, full circle. Like Bingy said, we have to start small. Let me tell you something. Individuals make good partnerships. Good partners make good corporations. Good corporations make good nations. Good nations make a better world. We have to start small, like Bingy said. And what we have, look, Haile Selassie said, for the development of our people, we have to become something that we've never been before. And that's what we're doing right now, brother.
Yes, sir.
We're becoming something that we've never been before. Because what we're doing, we're creating one nation again. And that's something that we've never been. You know? We come from the Zulus, the Igbos, the Yorubas, the Jamaicans, the Sioux, the Cheyenne, all these different nations that were marginalized and segregated against and put in this one bucket that we were never one before. But now that's what we have to do. We have to become one, you know? And it don't matter what background you come from. If you have been segregated against, if you have been marginalized, I don't care if you're white like the door right here, you know? We have to come together and become one thing and really stand up against this power against us. And you know, every point that we touched on today really contributes to it. That's just like we're talking about Kenya. You see Kenya supporting Haiti, I have a love for that. But if they're being dictated to do it, I don't have no love for that. You understand what I'm saying? If they're doing it because the big powers is making them do it, it's a problem, you know? For Kingsley Cooper to have a second, Kingsley Cooper would have to put a second in place and don't try and stay the big man forever. You see? And this is another thing in our community. We have to create this lineage that we need. I don't just need a second. I need a third and a fourth and a fifth and a sixth and a seventh. You see what I'm saying? For this to continue for generations down the line. And me who's in power right now, it's me who have to put that in place. And I can't wait for them to step up and say, okay, they're going to step up and put themselves in place.
Speaking about sustainability.
I have to do this, you know?
Sustainability.
Yeah. And
Yes.
I don't have to have a problem with being segregated against. If you want to segregate against me, this is an issue that you have personally. That's not my issue. You see? My issue is to build my nation. You see what I'm saying? The way how you accept me, the way how you point at me, the labels that you put on me, that's all your issues. I might suffer a little bit from it, but my biggest suffering from it is putting my focus on it and trying to go along with it. So start small, build ourselves, and don't be dictated to, man. And look, we're looking for equal rights and justice. These things never existed. Equal rights, justice, they don't exist. You see what I'm saying? What you have to do is stand up for yourself and create your reality. Don't worry about the acceptance of others. You see what I'm saying? If you're looking for equal rights for someone who definitely doesn't want to be equal with you, you're fighting a fight that you're never gonna find an end to. So full circle, we have to take our own destiny in our own hands and stop looking for the authorities to justify it.
Good, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
We just want to remind the viewers to subscribe, like, and share. Tell your friends about it. Come on, get on board. Get into this movement. We're on all social media platforms. It's an opportunity for growth. So let's get involved and let's activate. And that's where we at. I want to thank Ogun Rasan.
Thanks for having me.
I want to thank him for joining us. Our first guest.
Here comes Taylor.
Give thanks, family.
Current guest as well.
Enjoy.
Come on, give thanks.
Current guest as
Yes, fire.
well. Want to thank everyone for bringing their views to the board. And we just want to say give thanks and let's do this.
Come on, give thanks. Perfect balance.
Yeah, man.